Welcome, welcome, welcome to Roundtable Talk with Dawn Chanet Collins. I am Dawn Chanet Collins. I am a current school board member. I am also a candidate for Metro Council District 6. I am a mother, grandmother, and owner of a small boutique government relations firm, Cogent Concepts and Project Management. And so this roundtable is an extension of work that I've been doing for years in community. Every year, at least once a year, I reach out to community stakeholders in the area, whether they are churches or businesses or neighborhood associations, and we meet and we break bread with the schools in the district. Okay, and the whole purpose of that is to first and foremost learn about the schools in your area for yourself and not what someone else tells you, because a lot of these schools are doing some amazing things. And then from that, what are the needs of those schools that community can fill, and what partnerships can be mutually beneficial. And so that's the kind of work that I've been doing. Let me tell you what has inspired this work. What has inspired this work is that I bought a refrigerator. About 6-7 years ago, I bought a refrigerator. Was proud of my refrigerator purchase. Still am. I saved up, bought it cash. Okay, went down to the Sears, picked out the refrigerator I wanted. Had a pickup truck at the time, so I didn't need help delivering it, but I needed help getting it in the house. Okay, so I pull up, realize I need a dolly, go online, find out that the closest place with the dolly is virtually across the street from my house on Florida Boulevard, none other than Sherwood Magnavox. Okay, shout out to Sherwood Magnavox. So I go to pick up the dolly. I walk in, and not only do they sell televisions, they sell all kinds of appliances, washer and dryers, and of course, refrigerators. So it kind of hit me in the gut that I had missed an opportunity to invest right at home by purchasing a refrigerator and they're very reasonably priced. Okay, they just don't have the marketing dollars that Sears has. So when people think about refrigerators, or when they think about washer and dryers and stoves, unfortunately we hop to Lowe's, Home Depot, etc. And sometimes we forget about the mom and pops. And so that's what inspired this kind of work, because I began to look around in my area, and yes, we have experienced a lot of divestment and some decline, but there's so much opportunity that if we just come together and be strategic, we can really make it pop. And so that's the vision, that community members begin to think strategically about investing at home. When I purchased my home as a single mother 16 years ago in this area, this was a different neighborhood than it is today. Again, it has experienced some significant decline, but I'm not interested in moving anywhere or going anywhere. Okay, it's time for us to build. It's time for us to make it happen right here at home. So let me introduce our panelists. First and foremost, we have Brother Dean Donald Andrews from the Southern University College of Business. All right, here sharing all of his expertise on small businesses and community development. We also have Brother Tim Barfield with CSRS, one of the big dogs, and he's going to share how the big dogs can work with the little dogs to help improve community. We have also Sister Mignon Fontenette, who is the owner of MPrint Advertising, District 6 business. Check her out. We have Jeremy Jackson with Jeremy Jackson Insurance and Financial Services, and Milneck with Red Stick Spice. And Sister Ann gets all my little coins. I go in there for like one can of tea, and I come out there with 3 and 4 and all the spices I can think of, because you walk in and the aroma just hypnotizes you. It says, buy me, buy me. She's got it down to a science. I have to take some lessons from Sister Ann. Okay, and then Keith Tillage Brother Tillage with Tillage Construction. And last but not least, we have Brother Hilary Williams with Williams Handy. He's a handyman, and I shall be calling him because I have a dishwasher problem, Brother Williams, that I'm gonna need you to help a sister with. So that is our panel, and a quick shout out as well to Rover Janitorial Services. Did not want to be on the panel, but is a proud sponsor of tonight's roundtable talk. What I want to do, Dean, you wanted to share your screen.
I guess I've been around a long time. I've been dean here of the business school here at Southern University for the last 22 years. Never wanted to be a dean. I took it on just temporarily for 1 year until they would find somebody. I guess I've been waiting now for 21 years for them to find somebody. This is one of the first panels I've been on where I think I basically know everybody and I have done business with everybody on the panel. So I usually have about a 30-page presentation, but I chopped it down to about 2.
Okay, and real quick while you getting that together, Brother Hilary Williams, he's also on the line. He has a handyman service, and I'm gonna have to holler at Brother Williams. He's a business owner in District 6. He had a little difficulty logging on. No problem. He's on the phone, so we can hear him verbally. And so I want to make sure we acknowledge Brother Hilary Williams is also with us. And I'm gonna holler at you, Brother Williams, because I have a dishwasher that needs fixing. So thank you. All right, Dean Andrew.
Can anybody see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. You were talking about your community, and I think you were saying that, you know, you want a theme of this particular presentation of what you're trying to achieve is that basically building a strong community from the ground up, small business owners and community leaders. And how can we empower the community? Well, I think what you really are talking about is an ecosystem. And at one time, ecosystems in the U.S. were relatively small ecosystems, and they were somewhat self-contained. I grew up in a community of about 800 people in Northeast Louisiana on a small farm. And so basically we learned to be almost self-sufficient. Here we see, and this is the Zambezi River, when it makes its fall there at Victoria Fall in Zimbabwe. And basically this is a healthy ecosystem. So you have to nurture this particular system. You have to have all the ingredients to have a flourishing ecosystem. So what we have in the US today, we move from an agrarian society to an industrial society, then to a knowledge society. And now we're moving in what is known as a creative society. So we want to find ways in which we can build ecosystems that are self-contained, that are healthy. And so you have to put all those ingredients together. Now, we hear a lot about small businesses and the need to be more entrepreneurial. And a lot of our students want to be entrepreneurial.
Yes.
Well, what exactly is entrepreneurship? Well, I've had the opportunity to go to various universities, Stanford and Babson and various others, in looking at entrepreneurship. And so the best model I've found is a model Jeff Timmons put together in terms of the entrepreneurial process. So number one, what is entrepreneurship all about? It's about opportunity recognition. So we've got to be able to recognize opportunities. And that's not always easy. Sometimes more or less the opportunity is that of moving into another location. A lot of people have moved to different locations and they know when to change, when new opportunities present themselves. The other thing is about resources. We'll never have enough resources because resources are always limited. So we've got to be really good stewards of the resources that we have. When you want to go into business, you're going to have to find resources in different ways, and you have to be somewhat creative. And the big thing I've found in terms of entrepreneurship and small businesses is that you've got to put together the right team. So these are the ingredients in terms of opportunity recognition, resource development, and putting together the right team. You'll always be a small business if you don't have a team, because one person can't do very much by him or herself. I mean, if we talk about Apple and Steve Jobs, well, Steve Jobs wouldn't have been very much without Steve Wozniak. Bill Gates had Bill Allen. And so basically, entrepreneurs don't get very much done in isolation. So it is a team sport. And what we say is that in order to make things work, you've got to be able to connect the dots. And so entrepreneurs understand how to connect the dots. They may have an opportunity, but no resources. As we saw with Zuckerberg, with Facebook, he had to move to the West Coast to find the resources to make Facebook successful. He had to put together the right team. And you have to have a plan. In most public sector organizations, we talk about a strategic plan. When we talk about business, we talk about the business plan. Well, Dwight Eisenhower said on D-Day, the plan wasn't worth a damn. It is the planning process that's important, so that you know more or less, as Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a plan till the first lick is passed. And so you've got to understand how to adapt and how to adjust. And that takes what is known as leadership. And I always say, everybody talks about leadership, but leadership is the critical element. If you don't have the right leader, then things don't really go very well for very long. You've got to be creative. We think about McDonald's and Ray Kroc. He had to be very creative because he ran out of money several times. And you've got to find a way to make things operate or make things work. And then finally, you've got to be able to communicate. Communication, when people come here to recruit our students, the first thing they want is someone who can communicate. So you take all these ingredients together here, and this is known as the entrepreneurial process. And so people are doing this all the time, some better than others. But basically what you've got to be able to do is to get things done. You've got to take that opportunity, find the resources, get the team together, the plan, the leadership, creativity, and to be able to communicate. And finally, my final slide, since I'm in the education arena and we're talking about how things are changing, what are the 21st century skill sets that individuals have to have in order to be successful in the 21st century? Now, people like nostalgia, and they like, they talk about how things used to be, how things were, but we've got to understand how things are going to be. So, as Gretzky said, he doesn't skate to where the puck is, he skates to where the puck is going to be. So we've got to realize things are not going to be the same, things are going to change, things are changing today faster than they ever have, and we've got to equip individuals in our workforce, in our schools, to be equipped for the change that's taking place today faster than we've ever seen it before. So what are the foundational skills? Students have to be literate, numeracy, scientifically literate, computer literate, financially literate, cultural and civil literacy. Those are foundational. So if the school system isn't providing this, then the kids are not going to be able to compete in the 21st century. Mm-hmm. Then when we talk about competency, critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, communication, collaboration. Then when we talk about character qualities, courteous, initiative, persistence, adaptability, leadership, social and cultural awareness. So when you put all these things together, then you have an opportunity to move forward in the 21st century. So we can't look to the past, but we've got to look to the future, and we've got to be able to prepare for the world that's going to exist as we move forward in the 21st century. So I'll stop at this point, but what we're saying here is this is how to empower people to be able to survive and thrive in the new creative economy.
Okay, awesome. That was pretty powerful.
Okay.
So what we'd like to do at this time is to let each business owner that's on the panel just for about 2 minutes. Please, remember, we're talking about 2 minutes. Share your own personal story as a business owner. And we can go in alphabetical order to be fair and it's not me picking favorites or something like that. So that would cause us to go with Brother Tim Barfield first.
Here. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate it. Well, first of all, great presentation, Dean Andrews. And I think really when you look at our business, I'm the president of CSRS. We do architectural engineering, but really our focus has been on project management, disaster recovery, and planning and similar type projects. We're partnered with Keith Tillage and his company and have been for years in managing the East Baton Rouge Parish School System and facilities improvement programs. And so that's been a great partnership for us. And so for us, I think it goes back to what Dean Andrews said. It's, the key out there is finding these people with these 21st century skills, right? We're a service business, and I think that's where small businesses have such a big part to play. Obviously, we want to be a firm that understands our community, wants to be very involved in the community. And we want people on our team that understand the communities we're working in. And that's where I think small businesses, we're a medium-sized business. We're about 120 people. And so that puts us, we're not technically a small business. We compete against people who have thousands of employees on almost a daily basis. But we find one of our advantages is learning how to team with small businesses, bring the businesses with the right skill sets, competencies, experience. And a lot of that is also the social and cultural awareness of the communities you're working in. So that's a big part of what we do. And I'm proud that, it's everything from teaming partners like Keith's business, but it's also subcontractors, getting the right employees, obviously, but having the whole team that solves the problems for our clients and allows us to execute.
All right.
I'm trying to keep to my 2 minutes. I can blow that out of the water, Dawn.
Thank you so much. All right. So then that would have us with Sister Mignon Fontenette from MPrint Advertising.
Well, I want to thank you for inviting me to participate in this roundtable. I'm the owner of MPrint Advertising. I've been in business for over 35 years. I am from Baton Rouge. I was born and raised here. My business started in the living room of my family home. And right now we're located at 1739 Wooddale Boulevard, and I've been there for 20 years. And at MPrint, I do custom imprinted quality promotional items, ranging from silk screening, t-shirts, pins, cups, calendars, and other items. And we also offer embroidery, awards, and I also do graphic service. And basically that's it in a nutshell. We just put your brand out there. If you want it put on something, we can help you do that. At this particular time, I'm very small compared to Mr. Barfield's business. I only have 2 employees, and I am one of them. And we're still standing in all of this, everything that's going on right now. So.
And Mignon, did you get a chance to mention how many years you've been in business?
Yeah, 30. It's actually been about 38 years.
Okay. I think that's pretty amazing. All right. So then, Brother Jeremy Jackson.
Thank you for inviting me, Don. I'm Jeremy Jackson with Jeremy Jackson Insurance and Financial Services. I am an insurance agent here in the Baton Rouge area. I've been in the insurance business for almost 20 years. I was formerly a State Farm agent. prior to COVID, decided to end my State Farm agency in hopes of doing something different. And then COVID hit, and I was sitting at home and decided to go back into the business that I knew best, which was insurance. So I created Jeremy Jackson Insurance and Financial Services as an independent agency, providing products for multiple carriers. My business is in the growth stages, and Dean Andrews brought up a great point when you realize that you need to build a team. I started off by myself about 4 months ago, just starting to create the systems I need to put in place for the agency to be successful. And a couple of weeks ago, I realized that I had more work than I can complete by myself. So I had to hire a sales agent and start recruiting a customer service rep, because the agency started growing faster than what I thought it would start growing in the beginning. And that's pretty much it. Just trying to get this new agency off the ground in hopes of bringing something to the community that they need. I think a lot of people miss that touch in insurance and financial services, especially for small businesses, protecting their business with the right coverages. So my goal is to strive to get out here and educate individuals and businesses about the proper products.
All right, thank you, Brother Jackson. All right, and I love everybody on the panel, but Ann really gets my small coins, all of them. I have a whole stash of tea, more tea than I can drink, but every time I go, I have to pick up some more cans. So Ann, tell them how you get them hooked when you walk through the door.
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be on this panel. I really appreciate it. I'm Ann Milneck, and I own Red Stick Spice Company. We're a small specialty grocery store in Mid-City, right at Jefferson, where Jefferson meets Government Street. And I bought the shop 8 years ago, moved it from the Bocage area to Mid-City for a very specific reason. But first of all, I want to say, Dean Andrews, thank you for those slides. It made me feel a lot better about what I do. I realize I do a lot of those things. A lot of days it feels like a Hail Mary. But that it made me feel good that maybe some of these things that I do make sense. But I have 3 full-time employees and about 11 part-time employees, and that ebbs and flows depending on where we are with retail sales during the year. And the day before Governor Edwards sent us home to shelter in place back in March, the day before that, I signed on an SBA loan, and we are in the permitting process right now on an expansion of a full service built-in cooking classroom, not portable equipment. So we also teach cooking classes. So, you know, again, it feels like a Hail Mary every day. Like, what are we doing? It's a pandemic and I'm expanding, but it's that planning for what will be, not for what's going on now is, I didn't realize I was doing it, but you know, that's I'll go with that storyline, let's say. So that's who I am. And again, I'm just super excited to be here. And yes, I see Dawn often for her to come in and grab her tea and other ingredients to make her meals delicious. So again, thank you.
Yep. And Mignon gives my money for my campaign t-shirts and everything. And she's awesome. And my fingernail files with my logo and stuff on them. I appreciate all of y'all. And Brother Jackson. I do business with Brother Jackson as well. I live what I preach. Okay, so now Mr. Tillage.
All right, hi, I'm Keith Tillage again. Don, thank you for giving me a seat at the table. I think it's important for us to have these kind of conversations, and not only to share successes, but to kind of share your obstacles. You know, Dean, one of the things that you said kind of jumped out at me about Mike Tyson. He said that, but not quite in that way. He said that everyone has a plan so they get busted in the mouth. And I'm here, you know, to tell you, man, I've been hit in the mouth so many times that I know exactly how it feels. You know, I had this crazy idea that I'd leave corporate America and I'd come back and start a construction company with my father. And, you know, at the time I thought that, hey, look, I can always go back, you know, and work in this particular field of SAP. 6 months later, bottom dropped out. And, you know, I was literally like all the other entrepreneurs on a tightrope, but now I have no safety net. All right. And so, you know, that's been the start of my 20-year, you know, journey. And I tell people all the time that we were constantly falling, but at least we were falling forward. All right. And one of the things about building up from the community, Don, is that people do business with who they know, they like, and they trust. Okay. So you didn't know the organization that was across the street from you that had these things, but had we made an opportunity, you know, and made this a priority for us to get to know each other, now we develop a friendship. Now we begin to do business. So one of the things that Tim said with CSRS, you know, it came from a relationship that was started with one of the founders, and it's simply from opportunity meeting preparation, right? And now Tim's kind of being very, very humble, but CSRS was on the cutting edge of doing the right thing, you know, not only in our community, but throughout the places, you know, that they work. So one of the things that I like to preach with small businesses is to have a strategic plan and do business with good people that legitimately want to do business with you. All right. So I'll tailor back my 2 minutes because, like Tim, you know, we could fight for a little time here, but I'll let someone else kind of come in and speak. But I'm happy to be here, guys.
Awesome. And then Brother Hilary Williams. Brother Williams, did you hear? I can't recall if you were on. Did I get a chance to mention that I'm going to be calling you after the webinar?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, sir. I'll be calling. Go ahead and share about your business experience.
Okay, well, my name is Hilary Williams, and actually I started out as contractor with Williams Handyman Contractor Services. We'll buy rundown properties, renovate them, and resell them. But I actually branched out into another business, which is we're franchised with Janet King International, and the name of our company is Tri-Hill Enterprises, LLC. And we have franchises based in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, and Alexandria. And we provide commercial cleaning services and disinfecting for COVID and fall disinfecting spraying for facilities around the Louisiana area and some local schools and professional businesses also. And we have been in business since December 2002.
Okay. And did you have anything in particular about your business experience, you know, and that you wanted to share, maybe to encourage other small business owners, or any new insight you gained?
Yes, well, I would say we're just starting off the recognition. The reason why we purchased the franchise with the Janet King brand was we ran into a lot of brick walls first starting out as far as like the mom and pop thing. We're doing it on your own, and we recognized where maybe we needed to join forces with some, you know, surround ourselves with some people that were, you know, a company that was well known, but not just well known, that would, you know, have a support team. That's a big thing in creating your business and things like that. On top of that, it's just being able to have dependable, reliable people. Once you build your team, you want to have people that when the opportunity calls, when the opportunity presents itself to where you the business is there and you want to, what employees, or we need to do this right away or whatever not, you want to be able to make phone calls and things happen. And not a week down the line or maybe 2 weeks down the line, because when a customer, just say with devastation or something like that hits, you know, the customers may call you that you don't even know, but they've been referred to you. So, you know, we need to answer when duty calls. And with that being said, that's one of the main things that's, you know, that's changing the world right now. It's just like from one thing to another, you know, we don't want to, a lot of people don't want to accept change, but change is coming regardless if we want to or not.
All right. Okay, so thank you all for sharing. So I'm gonna throw these questions out. Feel free to chime in however you choose. What are your thoughts around what it means for small businesses and their surrounding community. And by community, I mean the neighborhoods, the schools, the churches, universities, to collaborate and support one another. Anybody with any ideas on that? I know Jeremy, when we were getting ready for this, we had talked briefly, and you had mentioned, and you were just keeping it real. You were mentioning ways that community sometimes reach out for help, but you're a small business and you need business too, you know, like some reciprocity. Did you want to elaborate on that?
So, yeah, my thing was, you know, sometimes, a lot of times the community looks for the small business to support them, but they don't support the small business within the community. And so, just making sure that you make all those connections that you can support each other, because it's a give-take situation. I know, as my experience in my state farm agency for many years, people would always tell me, "Oh, I didn't know that you were on Winborn Avenue," and I was actually in the middle of a neighborhood in a school zone. You know, so I drew a lot of attention when it came to, let me go see if I can get him to support the community. But when it came to do business, they drove past me. Just making sure that we connect with the community so that they don't drive past, you know, the business, that they actually do business there, and the community realizing that, hey, we have a business within this community that we need to support. Because like Ms. Fontenette with her printing company, now that I'm familiar with who she is and where she is and what she does, versus me going on for MPrint to do something, I have a local person that I can go down the street and do business with that I wasn't aware that was there prior to this conversation today. So it's important that we do that, because, like I said, we look for the small businesses to support us, but the one thing that small businesses need is capital and money and growth. And so they can't get that if you're not supporting them.
Exactly. It takes an effort. It really takes an effort. And I as well didn't know about your business, and now you do. But most of my business comes from referrals. And, you know, I'm very good to my clients, and they know that, and they refer me. They don't mind referring me because they know I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. And I appreciate every one of them, because that's basically how I get most of my business, through referrals.
Don, I think this kind of goes back, you know, to what I was saying. I think that, you know, a lot of people don't support simply because they don't know you're there. Like, you know, you guys are a prime example of it, you know, and on the adverse, well, you know, I've been knowing Jeremy and his family forever. So when I moved back to Baton Rouge, the first person I looked for was Jeremy. But it comes back to people are simply doing business with who they know, they like, and they trust. So I think, you know, rooted, we need to get back within the communities, within the city of Baton Rouge, right? And we've got to get to know each other and know what things are out there. I think that those are the things that we can do, you know, a better job of. So, you know, that would be, you know, my input to that.
And you had something, Tim? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll approach it from a different angle. I think, you know, it actually can be an advantage to be a small business for the same reasons that Keith just mentioned. You know, if you know somebody and you trust them and you have a connection with them, and I keep going back to that word trust. You know, when you do business with people, when you're spending money, if it's with Mignon, you know you're gonna get it on time. You're gonna get what you paid for. You're gonna get what you expected, right? If you're with Jeremy and you have an accident and you call, he's gonna treat you like family, right?
I can attest to that. All right.
Yeah, well, I hope so. Yeah. No, but that has grown from a couple people to now 120 over 40 years. Now our challenge is we can't be all things to all people in every community, and that's one of the reasons why it just makes sense from a business standpoint to go out and team with small businesses who bring some value to us, bring some value in the local relationships, bring some competencies, bring some depth, bring some skill sets. And so I think as maybe you mentioned, Dawn, when you went to Sherwood Magnabox, you didn't know where they were there. Well, you know, sometimes I think small business misses their opportunity to get out there and let the community know they're there. And maybe that's tough because advertising dollars are tough, but it's just your presence in the community. The people you go to church with, the even the signage, you know, just getting a sense to make sure people notice who you are. I feel like most people want to do business with people they know and they trust, and they would use a small business if they know it's there. And there's always a cost trade-off that too many people are going to go with the cheapest price no matter what, right? Mm-hmm. But there's value to be added for service, for knowledge, for help, and all those things. So I would throw that out there, that it's a double-edged sword, I know, but it can be a big advantage.
Yeah. Again, doing this roundtable for me is an extension of work I've done before. Keith has been to some of the community meetings I've had, and Jeremy as well. Some of the community meetings I've had for my schools, because. And, you know, like maybe that's a thing, because my next question was going to be, are there ways for businesses to strategically collaborate and support one another? And so, like, you know, and just throwing this out there, you know, like maybe that could be a thing, you know, just like I do the annual meetings with the schools and actively invite people to, because otherwise all you hear is maybe some news flash about school ABC, you know, on their worst day, right? Versus knowing what's going on those campuses on a regular basis, and opportunities to contribute to those schools. Saying, you know, because part of what contributed, I think, to me going to all the way to Sears, which was at Cortana at the time, versus right there to Sherwood Magnabox, is that Sears has so much more marketing ability. And so then maybe in terms of community, strategically collaborating, maybe whether it's events or community website or whatever innovative, creative things, those are some things that I'm kind of looking into, you know, possibly doing for District 6 small businesses in particular. And so then are there other ways that the businesses themselves can collaborate amongst each other? And y'all kind of touched on it, Jeremy and Mignon, you know, like, okay, I know about you now, you know, but, you know, maybe folks can help each other out with referring, you know, like, okay, definitely referring to Jeremy, or definitely referring to MPrint advertising. Any other thoughts around strategic collaboration?
So Don, I want to kind of tie this into the education, and
Okay.
you and Dean Andrews, you know, being in the educational field, and just seeing how education can help fuel small business. When you look at what each small business owner does and what they do in the community, and you go out to these high school level, college level students, and you start educating them about what this small business is and what kind of opportunities it creates for the individual, and getting them, you know, to learn about the business sometimes will help create more exposure for the business, as well as create opportunities for employment. I mean, one of the things that I always struggled with in small business was finding, you know, personnel and good personnel. You know, one of the things that a lot of people don't know about the field that I'm in is that you don't have to be college educated to do this. You know, it's a trade skill. You get a license from the state of Louisiana to sell insurance, and you could build a very nice career and a very good life for yourself and your family in this field, you know, and it's still a professional setting. It's still a professional opportunity. There's so much you can do for the community, because you're reaching out, educating people about products and things that they don't know. you know, if for each business, if we were able to do some type of intern mentorship, you know, reaching out to those schools and teaching children and kids and young adults about each business and what we do, that could help fuel more people into our pipeline, as well as gain exposure of advertising for the businesses.
Okay, that's awesome.
I think we're all guilty of going to the big box stores. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I always say that eventually, if we don't do something more constructive or even, you know, more focused on small business, that we won't have any choices. We'll just have Amazon, Walmart, and you won't be able to go anywhere else because everybody else will be out of business. You know, so what you're doing and making people conscious of that there are small businesses, you know, that are still striving, and whether you're a small business, and I consider myself a very small business, you know, compared to a lot of businesses, but that's okay. That's okay for me. You know, even that's beneficial, and I have a service and a benefit to the community.
I think just to add on to this, you know, it's getting to be very, very difficult now.
It's a little hard to hear you, Dean.
Yeah, it's getting to be very, very difficult in the business arena in terms of small business, because right now with COVID, we've seen the destruction of a lot of small business, especially in the restaurant business. It's a struggle out there, and you've got to be adaptive. You've got to be inventive. You know, you've got to be creative. You got to be one step ahead. You know, I mean, I'm getting to be old enough, you know, where I can remember being back on the farm or whatever, you know, in terms of small business, and you know, we were just so happy to see a Walmart or a department store, because you know, a little small store there just didn't have much variety. And so Walmart put a lot of people out of business. You know, when they brought, you know, retail to the smaller communities, and you know, COVID is putting a lot of people out of business that probably won't come back. But if you look at the businesses that are thriving, and Keith talked about, he was in corporate America with SAP and all of the dynamics going on there in terms of enterprise resource planning. The strategies are basically people want to scale these businesses, they want to move into the future, and they want to have it such now that the homeowner never has to leave home. I mean, Walmart now will actually bring food and put it in your refrigerator. So you've got to always be thinking about what innovation can I bring to the marketplace, and how can we scale that? Because, you know, and we're nostalgic about the good old days, but the good old days are gone. And we can celebrate the good old days, but we need to seize the future. And you mentioned more or less education, what role education plays. I was fortunate enough to go to China back in 1987. And I saw what the Chinese were doing. And we went to Beijing, we went to Wuhan, we went to Xi'an and various other cities. But I could see all across that country that they were investing in the kids. The school systems, I mean, in the US schools were the envy of the world. I mean, we have some of the best universities in the world. And at one time we had the highest percentage of college educated individuals in the world, but we are losing our competitive edge because the rest of the world is gaining on us, and they're investing in education, engineers, scientists. And if we don't watch it, we won't be on top very much longer, because we've got to put more into education. We've got to adapt the skill set so that we get everyone being resilient and being what I call bulletproof, because the robots are coming. They're in the labs. We see more. I've been in every industry that's basically fading away. I've been in agriculture. In Southgate, California, I worked on an automobile assembly line. And the robots came. We used to do the welding. The robots came, took over the welding. The robots came, took over the painting. And I said, I got to get out of here. I got to get me an education. I got to find something that's not going to go obsolete soon.
Mhm.
But that's the task, is that the U.S. has made the decision that we're going to invest in high value, high education type products and services. And the problem is we've left a lot of people behind. I mean, you just have to be honest about it. A lot of people have been left behind because we haven't provided them with the skill sets and the understanding that we have to run faster than we've run in the past to stay where we are. So it's a challenge for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, that's an old African proverb, you know, that the lion wakes up every morning or whatever, and it's got to outrun the fastest gazelle, and the fastest gazelle has got to outrun the slowest lion if they're going to basically remain on the planet. So that's just the process we're in, but we have to find ways to understand that we've got to invest more in education to keep people where they can make an honest living. That's just the process we're in now.
And I'm gonna just, you know, lift up what Dean Andrews said and point out that we have been cutting public education for years now, and I think that is helping to contribute to some of where we are, and we can't keep cutting public education and think that we're gonna still be able to compete. So I just had to add that in there. Thank you, Dean Andrews, for making that point.
You know, at one time, you know, education was basically for the privileged class. Education was private. Then we had the passage of the Morrill Act back in 1862 that provided for public land grant institution. And that's the way we really got out of being a poor nation, because we had education available. We learned how to scientifically farm, and then we could take people out of farming and put them into industrial development, Henry Ford and all the others in terms of assembly lines, and we were able to uplift the standard of living of the common people. But now basically we've kind of leaving people behind, and if they don't have a chance for a viable life, then that creates a whole lot of social problems. And we're seeing some of that.
Yeah.
Because you can't just leave people behind. I mean, I witnessed South Africa. I used to go to South Africa a lot, and I wish I saw the downfall of apartheid. You know, you can't have this small 3 or 4% of the people with everything, and then you got 97% of the people with nothing. At some point, they'll rebel.
Yes.
So we have a strong small business class, and we have to more or less, that's why we've got small business development centers. We have university centers for economic development and all the rest. But we've got to do more in public education, I think, in terms of schools that we know are failing schools. And we can't have kids going to failing schools and think they're going to be able to go out and contribute to society.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Now, and this might be more under Dean Andrews' cap, a feather under his cap as well, in terms of are there special considerations for economically distressed and underserved communities when we're having this kind of conversation?
Well, there are a lot of programs. You know, you have opportunity zones, you have hub zones, and all those kinds of zones. But still, you've got to be able to be competitive to take advantage of those. You know, I haven't found any free money yet.
Okay. All right.
I haven't found it, and I don't think I'm going to find it. So what I'm saying, you've got to be able to take advantage of these particular programs and put together a product or service that people at the end of the day are going to want to purchase.
So Dawn, I would also interject that having a lot of my career was involved in economic development on the government side as well as on the private side. And, you know, there's a sort of an adage there. If you have the skilled employees and you have the infrastructure, you don't need incentives, you know, and that may not be completely true, but I think it goes back to what Jeremy has said and what you started with and what Dean Andrews said. So part of that is, you know, aligning our educational institutions, and that's the K through 12, but that's also our 4-year colleges and universities and our technical schools and community colleges, figure out what we can, you know, what skill sets are needed. I would say if you look at North Baton Rouge as a great example, you know, that is some of the best land in our city in terms of, you know, its elevation its proximity to some major transportation arteries, the airport, major highways, interstate, the river, all these great things, right? And if you go back to the floods of 2016, it hit a lot of those areas so hard. It wasn't the fact that they were in a bad place. It's the fact that the infrastructure hadn't been maintained. The drainage system was not maintained. So I think what can we do for that? Well, I think there's a lot we can do public policy wise and public priorities to say, if we make the right investments in terms of infrastructure, and that includes maintenance, not just new infrastructure, but maintaining the infrastructure we have. And then we realize, look at those 21st century skills. Again, I go back to what kind of got me so impressed with your presentation there, Dean Andrews, because that's what we're looking for. But if we start, bringing kids up and partnering with business and industry, and I think small business has a big role to play in that. A lot of that probably centers on the creativity. As the world's changing around you, how quickly can you adjust? Well, I think small business has a lot of ability to do that. But I would say from a standpoint of that could change our community if we focus on those two things with some level of success. Obviously, there's other things, but that's a big part of it.
Okay. And so the last question, I'm sorry, I thought somebody was saying something. The last question I kind of thought about, and we touched on it, but I'm going to lift it up in case anybody had another thought they wanted to add to it. What are ways community members can be more strategic about their own support of small businesses in their neighborhoods? Again, we touched on it, but if anybody had any other thoughts, you can share. Again, I really kind of like the idea of maybe, community members really strategically organizing and working with the small businesses in their area to raise awareness about the businesses right next door, and things of that nature. But again, if anybody had any other thoughts about ways that community can be more supportive.
Well, Don, one of the things that I've done, being in this industry 20 years, there's a lot of friends that I've developed that don't do exactly what I do, but there's some element that they bring along that value chain. So when I go after a deal, I look at it holistically. So it goes back to, hey, look, I could be the general contractor here, but they need a landscape artist, or they need a maintenance crew, or this is what they need. So the people that I know and that I trust and that I like that have done these jobs, I bring that to the table. I'm like, hey, look, if you're looking for this, here's your guy. If you're looking for this, here's your guy. So we can go in and attack it, holistically. And the thing I don't worry about is, I don't care what your landscape contract is. It has nothing to do, where I am. So the way I look at it, I look at it from that particular, vantage point. And if we can collectively start thinking like that amongst, our areas or the people that we know, it will add a lot of value, in our day-to-day, what we're doing. So, that's my 2 cents.
So in other words, those businesses that are large enough to subcontract and things of that nature, they can also be part of community contributing to smaller businesses.
No, absolutely. Everybody plays off everybody else, and there's some aspect of it. The thing that I like to do is and you see it based on the areas, based on the neighborhoods. It can't be just one person that's successful. It doesn't work. Dean spoke on that, the have-nots of what eventually happened. So, and for me specifically, well, I see this, I live this. I grew up in Scotlandville, I'm engaged in the community, and this is what I'm doing. So it falls upon people that have the opportunities to be able to pass opportunities down, when they can. So it goes back to, if I've got to get embroidery, I need to be looking at Mignon. If I've got insurance, I've got to go look at Jeremy. If there's subcontractors, in essence, that I can pull from the pool of people that I know then that's what we want to do. And then my expectation is, from this guy, his workers or the people that he employs to still come from, these same areas, in that case. And that way we kind of uplift, that entire area, of what you're looking for. But it starts with a holistic view,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other thoughts on it?
Well, I think
I'll just add that I think large businesses, including ours, has an obligation to do exactly that. And I think we've been doing that for a long time. But I think Dean Andrews, you probably could show me some research where our economy in general is going to be better when there's a viable small business community, and large businesses will do better when there's a viable small business community, when there's a viable retail community. I would say, I know my wife uses your store, Ann, and I see your olive oil and your balsamic vinegar and different spices coming in all the time and everything. But, and I know this is a bad pun, but I was reading a dad jokes book the other day my kids gave me, but we all need a little spice in our life, right? And the small business and the local business provides that for us. But I think it's a huge engine for the whole economy. And so large businesses, I think we have a big obligation to go out there and make sure we're engaging small businesses the right way. And that's not just subcontracting them. I think that's partnering with them at times, like we have a Keith's business, but that's also the mentor protege programs that business like ours have done for years. And then last but not least, and Keith mentioned this, but this is referring, I think Mignon mentioned most of your business is by referral, but it's by referral. And it's by committing to, as leaders in our businesses and communities, it's committing to use the businesses too. And we have a choice to go with a big box or to go use a local place. And Sherwood Bangor Box, I probably bought most of my electronics there for the last 20. That's the Ruffino family, right? So,
Yeah.
Great people. I see them in church. I've seen one of their grandsons was in one of my kids' classes. Drove my kid crazy about it. Use them, but at the end of the day, their prices are just as good.
Yes.
And everybody knows that. So maybe they have to do a better job of getting that out. But when you go in there and knock on the door and your local business, you're going to find something of value. And of course, if you don't, they're probably not going to be there anyway, right? But
Yeah,
going to be something of value. So that's kind of my broad brush.
Okay.
And I have probably a very different point of view than Ann and Mignon and Jeremy and Keith and Hilary on that. But I think that's something that can't be lost in the discussion either, right?
And to be clear, I did go back to Sherwood Magnavox when it was time for me to get my washer and dryer.
Okay.
All right. I fixed it. And the prices were amazing. They do financing if you need financing, and the service was great. So yes.
There you go.
All right. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Everybody mentioned about the whole big box thing, how we look to them so much. Even during this COVID situation, for example, I remember, the disinfectant, trying to find disinfectant, and people were all the Walmarts and everywhere. And right over here by my office on North Boulevard, Calandro's had disinfectant, just boxes and boxes and boxes. And I end up going to Calandro's and buying disinfectant, and people are like, where can you find this? I'm like, it's right around the corner at Calandro's. And so people was like, well, what is Calandro's? Where is Calandro's? And it's like, you know how long Calandro's has been on Government Street,
Yes.
So Jeremy, you were the one that gave the secret away, right? Where's people coming?
Right.
Hey, sharing with the community, right?
It was so good. So then with that, if anybody else had any closing thoughts, feel free to share. What I want to do at this time is go ahead and we did have a couple of people come on, Ms. Jean George and Ms. Sarah Holliday. Ms. Jean and Ms. Sarah, if you have a specific question, type it in the chat box. What we're going to do right now is switch gears and we'll share some resources. Dean Andrew, I'm going to share my screen. I did do one PowerPoint slide to show some resources. You probably have and they have a description of each one. And if there are any specific resources that you might notice I did not mention, I just put a handful just to give people a little info. Dean, feel free to chime in and mention some additional resources. Okay, so some locally anchored resources in addition to the College of Business with Dean Andrews is the Louisiana Small Business Development Center at Southern University, which is a local hub for the National Small Business Administration. Their website is listed. And SCORE Baton Rouge, they specialize in providing help from other experienced local small business owners. And their website, Baton Rouge area.score.org. Dean, are there any other locally anchored resources before I go to some state level resources?
Well, you've got LSU, you've got DRCC, various other programs out there.
Okay. So then it'd be advisable for small businesses to maybe peruse the websites of our universities and colleges and see whatever programs they probably have to offer. The Ag Center too. I saw something the Ag Center was doing.
They have a rural small business development center.
Say it again, Dean. It was hard to hear you.
Rural Small Business Development Center with the
Okay.
Extension Service.
Okay. And then in terms of state level resources, we have LED, Louisiana Economic Development, and they have many services. The particular link I'm sharing is opportunitylouisiana.com/small business /grow a business. Okay, you can get your small and emerging business certificate. You can get your minority owned certificate and your woman-owned certificate there at that site. And that's helpful because they also have you listed. So if you're a small business and you're looking for subcontracting opportunities, that's helpful too. I've had several companies reach out to me who were bidding on some big projects with some government entities. And so they needed a subcontractor. They saw me on the list. So that's a real helpful resource for contracting for yourself. LAPTech, the Louisiana Procurement and Technical Assistance Center, provides specialized and professional procurement technical assistance to Louisiana businesses who are actively seeking and are performing on contracts and subcontracts with the U.S. Department of Defense and other federal, state, and local governments. You sign up with them. They do just like the Small Business Development Center and some of the universities as well, and colleges. They do workshops and classes and help you set up and things of that nature and get you registered with the different respective sites. And they send you a list. You can sign up on their listserv, contracting opportunities that meet your criteria of what you're looking for, and they'll shoot you an email about it. So excellent resource. Ms. Joyce James was on earlier. She's with Louisiana PTech. National resources, SAM. Again, if you want to do some federal grants, if you want to do some federal projects, then register on SAM. Website is https://sam.gov/SAM. Then SSTI, State Science and Technology Institute, is a national nonprofit organization dedicated to improving initiatives that support prosperity through science, technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Their website, ssti.org. I put them down because they also, I see emails all the time from them, same type of stuff. And then True Fund provides innovative financial solutions, which is especially helpful to small businesses and hands-on technical assistance to small businesses and nonprofit organizations. And that website is truefund.org. And so those are the resources I have to share. Dean, are there any that really stick out to you that you think I didn't mention that people ought to know about?
I think you covered it pretty good there, both at the state, local, and national levels.
Okay.
And at the university, we do a lot of grant writing and program development with a lot of the federal agencies, such as the EDA, Economic Development Administration, which is a part of the U.S. Department of Commerce. There's also and within the Department of Commerce, there's a minority business agency, and there are other, specialized programs that are available. So there are a lot of opportunities out there. I mean, HUD has a lot of projects and grants centered around housing, Louisiana Housing Authority, and those kinds of things that, have contracting opportunities when they're building various public housing projects and things of that nature.
Okay.
Also, with, I guess, the issue in Lake Charles, there's going to be a lot of opportunities there for both large and small businesses, because we got to put Lake Charles back together again. So.
Yeah, excellent point. Excellent point. Unfortunately, sometimes catastrophe is also opportunity, and so you do have to be mindful of that and cognizant of that. All right, so that's it. My closing thoughts are, again, for us as community members and small business owners to really start thinking about how we can be more strategic and more deliberate about supporting one another, because it helps us grow. If we make sure that we invest locally, then we don't have to rely on someone else to think about economic development, this or economic. I mean, the resources need to be shared all around, but it is still incumbent upon us as community members to invest in our own. And so with that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, as we log out, thank you everybody. I appreciate all of you. As we log out, I'm gonna go to my other screen, which will display upcoming roundtable talks and the lineup of other roundtable talks. I have 5 others coming up. The next one shall be very interesting. Dynamic women. There's a lot going on in terms of social issues right now. Sometimes some voices don't get heard as loud as others. And so myself as a Black female thought it would be very important that the ladies have a discussion. And so that'll be on September 23rd. Dynamic lineup. We have Professor Angela Bell with the Southern University Law Center. She's all excited and geared up. She's gonna bring the facts. She's not gonna just speak from emotion. She's gonna bring the facts. Former State Representative Patricia Haynes Smith, a political mentor of mine and personal friend who has a amazing history of service. Maria Harmon in the younger generation. She's co-founder of Step Up Louisiana, an advocacy group, and she's dynamic and powerhouse. And we'll also have Kathy Tolliver, a community leader, who will bring good things. And we will also have on September 29th, Building Better Infrastructure. And that will deal with, roads and bridges and sidewalks and bike lanes, those things that can help communities live more meaningful lives, community members live more meaningful lives in their neighborhoods and safer. Building a Healthy Community, October 6th. October 20th, Rethinking Policing in Schools and the Larger Community. And the last one will be a one-on-one with Dawn Chanet Collins, where people can ask me all kind of questions etc. And that'll be facilitated by Sister Kathy Tolliver. So thank you all again for joining us. If you want some reminder texts about these upcoming roundtable talks, hit me up at 844-405-0973. Simply text roundtable talk. If you have any questions or need to reach me directly about this particular presentation, something came up, or one of the upcoming roundtable talks, if you have any other questions in general, Dawn at DawnShaneCollins.com, and my cell is 225-428-6167. It rings directly to me. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or address any concerns you have. All right, y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you.